Hello, thank you everyone for joining us today for the Think Advanced Manufacturing simulcast. We will be on live today from 10 to 11 Central Time. And starting off, I'd like to introduce our three panel employers that we have today. First off, I have Jim Townsend from Kawasaki Motors Manufacturing, and Jacob Carver from Nestle Purina, and Brian Turner from DeStefano Technology and Manufacturing. And to start today, they're going to tell us a little bit about advanced manufacturing in the state of Nebraska, what they're looking for in employees, what they see progressing with advanced manufacturing in the state, and just some other specialty items they may want to touch on. So feel free to start, whoever would like to go first.
Go first.
I'll go first.
All right.
Brian Turner from DeStefano. Good to see everybody out there at all the community colleges. Hopefully there's good attendance. And one of the things that I guess, Rita, you'd like us to tell us about what our companies do primarily, right? Okay, well, DeStefano Technology and Manufacturing, we are considered a third-party metals manufacturer. That's our primary business. We would do work for companies, well, like Kawasaki. We would probably do some work for my friend here at Nestle Purina. Also, we've done work for companies that you might recognize, Toro. We do a lot of work for the Exmark plant out of Beatrice, Case New Holland in Grand Island, and those are the type of businesses that we work with as a third-party manufacturing. And what that really means, to everybody that's listening, is companies many times are looking for a better way, a less expensive way to make products or a process, and we do that. We have our facility over 160,000 square feet in Omaha. We have lasers, we have robots, we have welding equipment, forming equipment, CNC equipment, and so that's what we do, and we work with many different companies at many different levels to make their parts. So, and by the way, stop me anytime you want, ask questions, or you're going to do that, right? Okay. One of the things, and I'm just for everybody out there, I'm just looking at some of the questions, and one of the things that is, when we talk about advanced manufacturing, what does that mean to a company like us as compared to my manufacturing friends here? Well, it means quite a bit, because in order to produce the parts that we need to make, we have to look to that advanced manufacturing. And advanced manufacturing is such a big term anymore. It's not just manufacturing as you would hear, just making parts and pieces. It goes across just a wide platform from, if you can think of how everything is made from bringing the raw steel in, there has to be somebody to manage that, all the way to engineering. How does it get to the floor, off the floor, everything that it takes to make that part, and then even shipments. So that's advanced manufacturing, and in the middle of that process, we utilize a lot of lasers and a lot of robotic welding, CNC, numerically controlled machines. Those are the kind of disciplines that are different today than they were even 2 years ago and 5 years ago, because of the advances that have been made in the whole industry. So let me just give you just a brief what would happen. So let's say my friend down here in Kawasaki had a part he needed us to make, and Tim, hopefully you don't mind me using you like that. And but what we do is he would send us a print. We would take a look at it. We would probably laser cut it. We would then see if it needs any kind of additional processes being formed. But what we will do, we will actually load from our laptops or our desktops all of that data into the laser, and then it would be cut, and then it would travel to the different departments, and then all the way out the door. There's a lot of different disciplines along the line that have to touch that, a lot of different skill levels. And one of your questions, what are the career opportunities? A lot of career opportunities. If you like making stuff, you can become a welder, you can become a CNC laser operator. Right now today, we see some of the unemployment statistics in the state are very low. And while that's encouraging, that's also a challenge. We need to get new people into manufacturing, because manufacturing is a great career. I mean, we really see that. One of the things, and where we go to find employees, We take a look at different groups like Dream It, Do It, and there are many Dream It, Do It chapters in the state. We work very closely even with Skills USA. Those are groups that are encouraging the youth to get involved into manufacturing. We need that because as we see what manufacturing is becoming, it's not a dirty, dingy type of place. It's very technical. It challenges the mind. All of the employers are looking for people or students and employees that will bring their brains to work and not leave their brains at the door. So, and that's something that we're looking for. We're looking for those students that want to make a career in manufacturing. And the nice thing about it is there's such a role, for a progressionary role, if you get into any type of manufacturing, that whatever your career goals are, you can realize those no matter where you start. As an intern, you may start on the production floor. Many companies have educational opportunities that will pay for their education as they work their way up. I'm sure like us, like many of my friends here at the table, we have a lot of folks, employees that have worked with us that have received their education and have also progressed through the company to higher levels of leadership if that's really what they want to do. So the opportunities are endless when we take a look at what can happen. And that's one of the things that the message we're trying to get out. And recently, our local Dream It, Do It chapter, we've been awarded the Youth Initiative through the governor's program, and we're creating with DeStefano and many other local educators in the Omaha metro area and companies what we call a mobile manufacturing trailer. And yeah, so we're putting that all together. We're just really right at the initial stages of that. The goal is to put different types of manufacturing disciplines into this trailer where we can actually go to the middle schools. And then the middle schools can come through and they can see robots working. They can get a feel for what a lathe is, a welding simulator, and so many of those different technologies and opportunities. 3D printing is a big one that's taking over the manufacturing world today because it's incredibly cost effective to utilize a 3D printer in prototype. That's where we see the opportunity for all of our youth and anybody that might be interested in getting into in any form of manufacturing. I mean, it's just such a growth opportunity. So I've talked quite a bit, so I suspect you want to move down the table a little bit.
Okay, yeah. So I'll go next. I'm Jacob Carver. I work for Nestle Purina, which is located in Crete, Nebraska. For us, what do we do there? We're a pet food company, so we do wet pet food. So that's the canned pet food that you would see on the shelves, the Alpos, the Friskies. Those are kind of some of our big brands. For us, really, we are a high-speed, high-volume application for pet food. So for us, we're putting out large volumes at very high speeds of product with a very low head count, so to speak, when you look at the amount of volume per person. For us, the advanced manufacturing really comes into similar to what they're saying is we're asking people to come to work and use the tools called the brain. It's no longer you just come to work and you feed. Your job is a very manual job. Those jobs there's very few of those anymore. We're really asking the operators to kind of be the sole person on the line to oversee the quality control, to oversee the operation, to make sure the validation that what we're supposed to be doing is being done, to do those checks, and they're very tied to a computer base. We've got computer screens throughout the whole plant that show you exactly what's going on in the operation, so you can physically see what's going on, but you can also see all the automation, what's going on, and the sensors with pressure sensors and temperature sensors and all that sort of stuff. So we're really asking those guys to really understand their operation, understand how their equipment runs, and be able to know when something's out of tolerance and what to do. So it really comes into being able to use your brain and not just be, hey, I go out and I just do this task repetitive day in and day out, and that's all I'm doing. It's a very manual operation. It's gone away from that. And even on the technical side, with my group where I oversee the maintenance and electricians group, what was 10 years ago is not what's there today. From a technical standpoint, we've gone heavily into automation. We have a controls group that really handles, the PLC side of things, and we're asking our electricians on the shop floor, we're asking them to start taking on some of that PLC responsibility to do programming on variable frequency drives or VFDs. Stuff historically that would be in this specialized group that would have more of a 2-year degree with lots of experience or a 4-year degree and that sort of thing. Now we're saying, hey, no, you know what, we can train our guys up that don't have those sort of degrees but have that amplitude to be able to learn that, and we're asking those guys to do it. We're asking guys to do robotics. We even 3 years ago, when I moved down here to this plant, we heavily relied on third-party vendors to help us maintain our robotic systems. If we had problems, we called those guys to help. We've changed that. We've provided lots of training. We've gone through a lot, and we're really asking our guys to be robotic experts. We're not asking them to do all the programming because a lot of times our process doesn't change. We're doing the same thing. We're using robotics for pallet handling, for can handling. But we're asking our guys that when there is an issue, can they troubleshoot it? Can they get into that program? Can they get into the robot interface and understand and be able to troubleshoot it and get the line back running? And 2 years ago, we weren't doing that. And we've added a lot of robotics. We just went through a big expansion and added 15 more robotic cells within our manufacturing at double the speeds of some of our other lines. So we're doing it at a high speed and doing something that used to be a manual process. We paid a third party to do. We've now brought it in-house and automated it. And now our operators are really, instead of doing it hand, they're there operating the equipment. With my mechanics, with that group, it's really changed for them. 10, 15 years ago, they were there to, when the plant broke down, they were there to go out and fix it. That's what they were paid to do. Now it's, hey, we want you to understand how the equipment runs, and we want you to understand how to maintain it and work along with all the groups, operations, QA, and understand how do we maintain the equipment. And we're asking them, don't let it break in the first place. And that's changed the mindset of what do we need to do to not let this break down? What sort of things do we need to do to maintain that equipment? Which is a mindset change, which also makes them have to understand the equipment even better, how it operates, how do I maintain it, what's this thing actually do, instead of just, hey, it broke and I'm going to go out and fix it. It's really changed the dynamics. We've seen a big culture shift, from just the unemployment is a big thing. It is very low. It's very struggle. We over the last years we did this expansion. We added a lot of jobs, and it was very difficult for us to fill those jobs. From an operator standpoint, we got through it, but it took some time. On the technical side, we're still hiring for this line that we started up 6 months ago, and we started hiring a year ago for it. Because there's not a whole lot out there. We look out to the community colleges, like you guys that are on today, that we like to go out and we go visit them and we go talk to them and tell them what we're doing and bring them down and let them see the site, because it's, when you think of it, it's like making pet food. It's nothing exciting. But when you really see it and see how we're doing it and the speeds we're doing it, and the amount of product going out the door and what it takes to really make that can of pet food, just how all the stuff behind the scenes interaction with our recipe systems and how does that interact with the PLCs actually control the equipment, and then the operators interactions, and then you pull the maintenance and the engineering group and the QA group and all those groups working together. So the dynamics have changed over the last 20, 30 years, and even for us just in the last 3 years it's completely changed. We're going more and more to robotics, more and more we're asking our guys to understand more and more the line, the operation, the PLC, the VFD side of things. We used to have a small little niche group that kind of took care of that. Now we're asking our everyday mechanic and electrician to take on some of that.
Some bad cleanup, I guess. My name is Jim Townsend. I'm with Kawasaki Motors Manufacturing. We're a Nebraska corporation. We have 3 divisions and about 2,000 employees, about a couple million square feet under roof. We are very advanced manufacturing. To us is, in order to remain competitive in a world economy, we manufacture 3 divisions in Lincoln. We manufacture side-by-sides, ATVs, UVs, utility vehicles, jet skis. We manufacture rims for most wheel vehicles for ourselves and our competitors. We also have a rail car division where we're manufacturing rail cars for light rail systems all over the United States. And then we're just now adding in a third division, an aerospace division, where we'll be building parts for Boeing for the 777X. Advanced manufacturing to us, in order to remain competitive in a world economy, we've had to really invest in automation. And I think you've heard it from the previous two other panelists that we're not your dad's or your grandfather's manufacturer anymore. We are highly automated, highly clean, and high speed. So our goal is to produce a high quality product with the least amount of cost. And we're competing with, in a world economy where we're competing with people that are paying salaries that are very low. Kawasaki's been very lucky and very blessed to be in Nebraska and have people with high work ethic and high work standards. But now we want to change the vision of manufacturing. It's not a job you settle for. It's now a destination job. So what we're looking for is partnerships with education and administrators to inspire kids to choose manufacturing and advanced manufacturing careers. So advanced manufacturing to us, I mean, defining, we have different things: assembly, injection molding, automation, fabrication, finishing. It goes all the way through. But we are highly dependent on lasers, laser tube cutters, all the equipment that we've been talking about, controlling to make our equipment and make our products with as little error and with as little cost as possible. And so in order to do that, we need good workers. So what we're seeing right now is very low unemployment and very low work skills. So when the Nebraska Department of Ed worked with the career tech ed people to establish some competencies or basic work skills that were required, we were very happy to see that, because we struggle with people just being able to come to work. It's really hard to run an assembly line or a fabrication line when you have kids that can't, or people that can't come to work on time or reliably, that can actually follow rules, apply, communicate. We can't communicate with our fingers and text message anymore. You have to be able to verbally communicate and operate very highly technical equipment. We're looking for people that want to grow and want to settle and don't just want to settle. They don't want, you don't just come to work and push a button. We want people to come and engage and look to things. We grow within. In order to respond to a need for welders, for industrial maintenance technicians, and things like to repair this automation, we have over 100 automated robot cells that are doing welding and other processes, because we can't get enough people with the welding skills and other skills to do those processes. So now our operators have to be able to work side by side with these automation processes and do the programming and adjusting that you're hearing from also the other manufacturers here in the panel. So we've had to actually take employees that are showing an aptitude to grow and actually teach and build their skills. Right now, currently, we're working with Southeast Community College Milford. We've been scholarshiping people through because our maintenance department is retiring, and we're seeing the baby boomers are leaving us, and the people. So we've invested highly in automation, and now we have to invest in people that have the technical knowledge to repair, maintain, and operate highly technical automated pieces of equipment, for motor controls, PLC, and those things. So we're actually paying employees to go to school on our dime and come back and work for us, because we can't hire those jobs. And so we want people that are destined to come and be in manufacturing, and it's a clean, open, hardworking environment where you actually get to fabricate. What we see in kids now is we are a plug-and-play society. When a lot of us were growing up, I guess I'm revealing my age a little bit, we used to tear things apart and repair them and fix them. But if you think of how we've changed as a culture now, kids just throw things away. Your phone breaks, you go get a new one. Your car breaks, you take it to a technician, he plugs it in and it tells you what's wrong with it, and they pull the bad part out and put it on. People are not, because of the technological advances, kids and people that are growing are not using their hands, operating tools, measuring things. They're going to eBay and Amazon and Facebook and just buying a new one. So they're really good at financial transactions and really good with using electronic communication devices. But as far as interpersonal communication, timeliness, sense of urgency, and being able to use your hands to fabricate and apply that's what we're missing, and that's what we're seeing. So I guess I'm speaking for what we'd like to see, and work can just continue to build partnerships through some of the organizations that have been that we're very active. Dream It, Do It, and other schools, but we want to be part of it to help develop future educators. It's really hard for us as an employer to demand that you invest more in technical science, skilled in technical sciences and technical education when you don't have instructors and people that are teaching those skills. So we want to inspire those kids to go into those classes, learn to use their hands, and be able to come to our plant and work with robots and automation and help us remain competitive and continue to be for the future.
Tim, I apologize for interrupting, but you're absolutely right. Because what we're looking, as all employers, we're looking to as a collaborative group, and we don't want you to leave your brains at the door, right? The training opportunities, yes. And then like you had mentioned, skills and Dream It, Do It. All the plants have opportunities to get in. I'm assuming, like us, you have internship opportunities that are.
Yes. So right now we're working really closely with Eric Knoll and the program, the Skilled Technical Science Instructor Program at the University of Nebraska. One of the things that really shocked us as an employer was to find out that there was only one program, Wayne State, that was preparing educators for skilled and technical science or industrial technology education. That's sad, and it was very concerning to us. So we're working very closely with Eric Knoll, who's working to establish a program at UNL where we are actually paying and have paid internship opportunities for future educators to come onto our production floor and work for hours to experience what it's like to be in a manufacturing facility as they work with the community colleges to get that hands-on technical skill, so then they can go into a classroom in a high school or middle school environment and inspire kids to work with their hands and want to come and work with their minds to be the manufacturers and the innovators of the future. One of the things that I think we need to work on is working on exploring and continuing to prove the work-based learning concept. I think we as a group, as a manufacturing group, and as an industry, need to really partner with education to get kids the opportunity to come and work with us and in our facilities and use their hands. Right now it's isolated to labs and equipment in career and technical academies or community colleges, where we also need to continue to work on building that work-based learning concept and into that and changing those things. And then work to continue with training educators. Over the last few years, we've hosted math teachers, science teachers, counselors, where they've came into our facilities, they've toured, looked at our concepts, and then sat down and developed lesson plans that they could apply and go back to their schools and then inspire. So when they go in, you can have all the open houses and manufacturing days and all the things that you want, and you can bring kids through, and they walk into our plant, it's like Las Vegas. And they look around, there's bells and whistles and all the controls, and they think that's pretty neat. But if you have one educator that understands how industry and our expectations and understands how we work and operate, they can inspire thousands of kids. And I think so really that's how we feel and how we've been working to try to target our partnerships with education. And so I would encourage you as administrators to work with the local community colleges, engage your local businesses, and engage the organizations, statewide organizations, as the Manufacturing Council and Dream It, Do It, and other things. Get involved and partner to find out how we can best be a partner to support you in building those programs. Because the jobs of the future are going to be like this. They're going to be hybrid jobs, and we're looking for people that can come in and grow.
So Tim, Jacob, maybe what we could do for everybody that's out there, we each talked about some internship type programs. Maybe we could just take a minute and explain, because I think Nestle Purina has, and I think Kawasaki. You have formal programs, right? For internship. Do you have formal internship?
So we
type
work.
programs?
We have interns for engineering, and we have.
And where do you get those folks?
From the
I
University
guess
of
that's the
Nebraska
point.
mainly.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we also have interns through SEC Milford, where we'll bring in electromechanical kids that are in their 4th, 5th, and 6th quarters, and they'll work in our facilities after their class time. And that's helped us fill a need because kids get a chance to come in and work and apply what they're learning. And then we've been able to recruit them or keep them on board when possible when we've had openings.
So
in those positions.
Then for an example like Kawasaki, would they go through the college to contact you for the internship?
What we do, yes. We go and
okay.
try to participate. I guess from a manufacturer or industry perspective, I would talk to other industry members that are present or listening to this to get involved in the advisory boards and programs. So I got involved, as we started to do this, we got involved with the advisory board for the electromechanical electrical program in Milford.
Perfect.
So we take advantage, go in and do mock job interviews. We're there, we're present, we're helping advise them on their curriculum to make sure it's current, but also to be involved with those students, and then you have a relationship with them. And so as you're recruiting those interns and things, it really builds those bonds. And I think those bonds, the community college system tends to do a really good job. We're going to get now breach into and get into the high school, because I think now kids are choosing their career paths or what they think they want to do in middle school.
They are.
And I think so what Omaha's doing with the mobile lab and some of those things is very inspiring to see, because I really feel we need to get into the middle schools and get kids using their hands and inspire them to do something. I think automation, robotics is a way for us to remain competitive
absolutely.
for the future. And combined with the Nebraska work ethic, I think we're good, solid, but we need to continue to build that.
Right. So what about Nestle Purina? What would, if you to everybody listening, and Tim did a good job, I think, of working with your local community colleges and your different. So if somebody in the Crete area wanted to go to work, do you have an internship program?
Yep. So we're actually in the process. We were doing very similar to what Tim's doing, is working with Southeast Community College in Milford, rolling out an internship program. And we've always kind of had an ad hoc internship program for engineers and QA and production and some of those spots. But now we're taking it a level lower, and we're saying, hey, what we need it is a mechanic electrician level. So we're really working with Milford. We're getting ready to roll this out, and hopefully it'll be in place come January when they start their new semester. But we started 2 years ago really getting out there working with, as we started seeing this gap, working a lot with those community colleges. I mean, we go out and go to all these colleges, go on campus visits, go do classes, and go do one-on-one presentations to these guys. But the internship, really what we're doing is we're doing it twofold. One is we want to be able to get those college students who are looking at Nestle and say, hey, yeah, this is an opportunity for me. So while they're going to school, we're looking at, paying them to come work for us while they're going to school, help them with tuition reimbursement, some of those sort of items to help financially help them, but then also get their feet in the door to work with us and do that hands-on stuff, just like what Kawasaki's doing. But we're also setting it up in a way that if we've got production operators who are out on the line right now, and they've got that amplitude and say, hey, I've never taken mechanical trades, I've never done electrical trades, but I want to learn that sort of stuff, then we're setting it up for them too, where they can get involved in that. And it would be similar thing where we would pay them, and we would pay them to go to school, and we would pay them to go get their electrical mechanical or the electrical degree through Milford and be able to learn those traits, and then work with maintenance part-time, and then eventually when they get done, then they're to build an department, come right into the department, and they've already got some of those skills. So it's a big gap. It's exactly what Tim's saying, is it's a partnership with those community colleges, because those guys are the ones that are really putting out the skill sets and the new the youth guys of what we need. It's not the old ways where you got all your dads and your grandpas that were coming off the farm and they work 7 days a week, 14, 15-hour days, and they're used to it and they want to do that. Nowadays it's more technology based. It's more of guys wanting those day shift jobs, and they want to work Monday to Friday. And in our manufacturing atmosphere, it's not that way. I mean, we're a 3-shift operation. We're operating 7 days a week. So we got to have people that can work all different shifts and hours and those sort of things. So we got to reach out and manufacturing is not what it used to be. It's a lot of fun. I mean, you learn something new. It's not that push button every single day. You really got to use your brain. You really got to know how to operate the equipment. And so we want to bring those students in at a very early in their career and early into their college, to get them in the door and let them start seeing it. So it's a great opportunity. It's something, Nestle's really been behind the 8 ball in doing this. We focused more on the management side of things, and we said, hey, we got to get down to even our mechanic and electricians and get down to that level, and we really need to be able to work with the advisory boards and get out there and say, hey, this is where we see ourselves in 5 years. So what sort of thing do we need the professors and them to be teaching these kids so that they can apply what they're learning in college and come in the door and be able to use it right away.
So in the Omaha metro area, we've got a recipe through Dream It, Do It, and many of the organizations, of course, can utilize this, but we work through the Explorer Post. because I think it was aptly stated that a lot of the youth coming through today, they know they want to do something, they just don't know what they want to do, and many times, unless they're exposed to it, you really don't know. Okay, so what we've done in the past, we use the Explore Post program where through the high schools they can align themselves up through the Explore Post, and what that does, we have probably a dozen metro areas businesses lined up that we'll take a group to once a month or once every 2 or 3 weeks. The schedule changes a little bit, it's very dynamic. But one of the things we encourage is, and it's usually in the evening, they come in, they see the shift. We actually, like if you come to DeStefano, and if you wanted to look at welding, we're gonna slap some gloves on you, and our CWI certified welding inspector will, make you strike, and not make you. We encourage you to strike an arc or to run a machine. Gene King is listening, by the way, down at Metro College. But in addition to that, but what's so important about that is not only do we want the students to come, we want their parents to come. And the reason we want their parents to come is to get to exactly what we're talking about. It's a different world in manufacturing. And I can't tell you how many times that the student has been a little apprehensive of grabbing that welding torch, and mom or dad have, and they've jumped right in there, and we haven't hired any parents yet, but but what it does though, it gives them the opportunity to see exactly what it is like, because not too many people, unless you get into it, do they understand, nor do they understand the career advancement opportunities. I think both of you had mentioned that opportunity to grow within a company. And Tim, I think you said it very well that the leadership of your company a lot of times is developed from within, because then you have a good knowledge of products and process, and you can even change careers as you grow through a company. I mean, there's so many opportunities through tuition reimbursement. But so I'd encourage, if you have a Explore Post program, or to the colleges that are listening, you can create an ad hoc program where companies like us, we have very open door policies when it comes to schools or tours. I'm assuming my friends here at the table do also. So I would encourage them to do that. That way you get a flavor. I mean, we'll go from, to kind of give you a feel, from DeStefano, which is manufacturing, to Nebraska Machinery Company, for an example, that's diesel technicians, to now I'm in trouble because now I'm going to leave somebody out and they're going to get mad, but to Tri-V Tooling and some of those others. In addition, one of the tours is the local community college, because it is, when these guys are talking about those advisory boards, and it's a company's responsibility to get involved to get those students excited also.
So I think one of the things that I wanted to encourage administrators and school board members and other people at Preston, especially in the K through 12 system, is that educational success is so much defined by achievement into college, and not everybody's made to go to college, or are they ready to go to college? That's right. And I think it's a great measurement in defining success of your school system, because if they come to work for us, you still have to be able to do math, you still have to be able to do trigonometry, you still have to measure, you have to have the ability to do those things, but you are going to have the satisfaction that you're going to do some things that are hands-on, you're going to be building something, programming something, and accomplishing something. And so I think I would encourage you that, I don't know that it has to be your old wood shop class or your things, but to inspire kids with automation and programming and PLC and VFD and electrical concepts. And I will also say that there's starting to, in our factory, in our processes, the network, so the cross between computers and engineering PLC is now blending.
Yeah.
And so to me, so programming and network programming and the ability to have those things in place. So as we look at this, the Career Academy in Lincoln has really done a great job of having those career paths identified and working within those career paths. Yeah. And so I think what has to happen is that we have to get back into the middle schools to break down those silos of manufacturing as a job that you settle for. Because to us, it's an opportunity, and we need those people. Right now, we are struggling to find enough people that want to come to work every morning, because we have people that can't come to work, they can't get out of bed, or
They don't- you mean
wanna
they
have
don't
that
want
work
to.
ethic,
Yeah.
or they don't have that quality
It's a
work
work
ethic.
ethic.
And that's part of the overall training that we're looking for the educators and everybody else to help us to create that work ethic, because there are rewards for that kind of work ethic. You know, and you said something, and Whitney put together some nice information for us. Is she behind me now? But just to give everybody kind of an idea. Now, wages are always a nebulous thing, but it's the average annual wage in Nebraska manufacturing is about $45,000. So, if you, and so many times, and like I say, that's the average, it's highs and lows, and when you're taking a look at that. Well, let's think about this, that's not horrible money by any means. And it depends upon your skill set. You started talking about IT, infrastructure, network. I mean, then exponentially that's more. The skilled trades, which we still have, like welding or robotic programming, which, by the way, I think we all know that robotic programming is becoming more and more programming off of a computer and less on the floor, because as we get into what they call collaborative robots, where you're literally teaching them by point and touch. That's very cool technology, but those are skill sets that will demand more dollars per hour, and which is important. But it's important to know that you, as you get into a career, you love it, but also you'd like to get paid for it. So, and that's a very important thing.
So bridging the gap and getting into and through educators to inspire and to engage those kids, to get them back into the skilled and technical sciences, but that they still understand that they have to do math and they still have to be able to write.
Yeah, that's the key.
And they still have to be able to read. So, it's really a difficult challenge, and I think that I would encourage businesses and any administrators from schools to listen to their school boards and look what's going on around you, and realize that defining success, academic success, by achieving a 4-year degree or going on to 4-year degrees, are we failing some people?
Yep. And we definitely see a lot of that too, where the mentality has changed. They really pushed 4-year college, 4-year college, 4-year college, and the reality is, we're us in manufacturing. It's a great industry, and those guys coming out of a 2-year degree can earn double the money that these people coming out of a 4-year degree is, and there's much more jobs available out there. It's kind of, for whatever reason, it's kind of put on there that, a 2-year degree, that's below me. That's, you got to go to a 4-year degree. But it's not the case. I mean, when you look at it financially, when you look at the job skills that are available, the jobs that are available, there's a lot of good that can come out of a community college or a tech school or anything like that. And they're high-paying jobs, and they're in high demand. So how do we get into the middle schools, the high schools, and say, hey, start looking at this sort of stuff. In 2 years, you can be coming out and making, $45,000 plus. When you get into the tech schools or whatever, within manufacturing, and you get into mechanic electricians, you get into welders, you get in that sort of stuff, you're not going to be making that $45,000 a year. I'll tell you that right now.
You'll be making more.
You'll be making significantly more in some places. So, it's a great paying job, and on top of that, you're going to come out with very little debt. It's not expensive to go to a 2-year school compared to a 4-year college. So, the time it's going to take you to pay back that debt, if you have to pay back any debt, is much quicker. So you can get out in 2 years, you can go get a nice paying job, and you can earn some money and really have a nice financial life set outside of your job, and you get to enjoy what you do. I mean, with I'm sure these guys are the same way. You get to learn something new every day. Mm-hmm. In manufacturing, it's never boring. It's never just the same thing day in and day out. I just go out and I push this button, or I just feed this product into this. It's changing all the time, and that's where we say you got to really use your brain nowadays, and that's what we're paying people for, is to be able to do that. And as the market demand keeps getting higher and higher, and our skill sets get lower and lower, I mean, it becomes a struggle for all of us to figure out how do we bridge that gap, and that's what we're here for.
So within a world economy, I think the ability for us as an industry to respond to change is going to allow us to continue. Mm-hmm. And that time that's allowed has shrunk. And so the skills necessary have rose. And I think what we've had to do is internally provide opportunities for employees to grow within, to meet that need. But we still need that next generation of people to come and be inspired to invent the next greatest thing and be part of that. So welding is a great career. It's very satisfying. You can make a lot of money, and it's a skill. And nobody's gonna ever say, "I don't like you." You know, you can't work here because you can weld. I think you could watch.
That's true.
HR directors across the state would say,
Yeah.
line up to say, and if you ask, one of the big demands is being able to weld. Does that mean that you're going to weld all day and push a button? Maybe some days, but that doesn't mean you don't have the opportunity to grow and then start programming robotic welders to do that process
Right.
and work within that. So I really, we have to do something to get kids inspired to go into it.
So it really becomes a multifaceted. That's a great point, Tim. It becomes a multifaceted approach. It's because we've talked about middle school, and I think right now that has to be the emphasis. So whether your local public school, like we've got some of the folks in the Omaha Public Schools waking up to that fact and that's where the youth initiative, the mobile trailer is going to help and get that exposure to the middle schools. But that's where businesses and the local schools have to work together. Right. I think I'm starting to see more collaboration at that level also. The community college level has been there for a long time through advisory councils, but even that's now becoming more dynamic and more fluid, and whether it's much more hand in glove, I think, is what I'm seeing. I don't know if that's what you guys are seeing, but also that's where we need to go to continue that. It's a two-way street, not a one-way street, where you're creative in getting into the middle schools, getting into the community college, and vice versa, getting those students into our facilities to have a better understanding. But once again, getting the parents involved and excited, and the parents have many times a strong influence upon where their children, where they progress. Instead of, you made a great comment on the 4-year versus 2-year, and many times a 2-year is exactly what somebody needs to feel satisfied in what they do.
So one of the
and
points.
Actually, we have a question about how can schools get the mobile manufacturing trailer out to their middle school or junior high school?
That's a great question. Well, first of all, it's mobile, so that's a bonus. But primarily the M3E, as we call it, the mobile manufacturing, for the first year, it's pretty well booked in the Omaha metro area through the middle school program. That group at Omaha Public Schools has just really embraced that opportunity. But then as it grows, we will be looking for other opportunities to grow that view. Now, to piggyback on that, for an example, the Metro Community College out of Omaha, they will have a welding demonstration trailer, but I would check with your local community college. Many of them have something close to that, but if not, reach out. I bet you we can get something going.
So I think that one of the things I want to point out was that we don't want to, as an industry, sit and tell education how to do their jobs. We want to support educators. There's nothing better than a professional educator to work with K through 12 kids. We want to inspire the educator to help and break down those barriers to help supplement and help them make school real for kids. And so as an industry, we need to respond and support that. And so who's better suited to do that than the community college? So working with the community colleges, they already have the equipment and the technical skills and the ability to teach those. And we have a very great community college system in Nebraska. Mm-hmm. So again, I go back to I think as an industry, we're not trying to tell education how to do their job. We're just telling them what we're seeing, and then we're here to help.
Strongly suggesting, right? Let's face it, we're strongly suggesting.
I still go back to the point that one educator can inspire thousands of kids. And so to get good educators that are teaching industrial technology or skilled in technical sciences that understand and get it has to be a strong initiative to reach out and continue to grow those programs and bring them back.
Yeah, Tim, to that point, do you have, I know in the Omaha metro area we have a teacher intern program where teachers during the summer, and we've had this, I think, the last 2 or 3 years, where they'll actually come and they've worked on our plant floor and done it, I think it's for 2 weeks. I assume have you done that? Does Lincoln have that similar program, or Crete?
So we've worked through with the Project Shine,
okay,
and some of the other projects where we've worked with the Department of Ed and some of the other places where they've brought teachers onto our production floors and where they've had to go back and collaborate. The best one was a bunch of math teachers. They had to go back.
Oh,
they'd go
yeah,
on
yeah.
they spent time with us, and then they'd come back and do math problems.
Yeah.
So I actually got to come back and hear them present them to the group, and it was inspiring
Yeah.
to see, because I was one of those kids that sat in Algebra 2 and Trig and going, why do I have to learn this?
Yeah.
And so to me, being able to make school real and say, well, you have to understand trig because you're going to have to bend a pipe,
Right.
and you're going to have to be able to do these things and program a robot to do these. And
Yep.
if you can't understand angles and you can't understand the other things that go with trigonometry, then it makes it more real for kids.
And
I
you
think
know,
it inspires them.
That's so important because to your point, we had a couple of educators 2 years ago. They were industrial. I guess that would be showing my age, industrial arts, but whatever the tech. Sorry, everybody out there. But what it was very interesting because they took a look at our CNC machining and our welding, and they went back. And they were actually going to adjust their curriculum to do just those things. While they were teaching what they thought to be the basics in math, as we would call it, they went back and noticed that how we were doing measurements with micrometers and calipers and CMMs and romer arms, and it changed their whole dynamics of, okay, this is really what you're looking for as these students come out either at an internship or going to the community college program or whatever. And it was great, and that's really what, to your point, that's exactly what we're looking for, is that collaborative event. And it doesn't have to be a structured internship program. I encourage anybody at the high school, middle school level that is teaching that, gosh, reach out to your local manufacturer. I mean, I don't know of anyone that would not open their arms and really, give them an education, right? No pun intended.
Yep.
And we do have a question. Have any of you noticed if the stereotype of manufacturing has changed or if it is changing?
A stereotype of that it's kind of dark and dirty and dungy. I think it has changed, and I think my friends here have really all the way across the board. It is not. It's bright. It's technical. It's fast paced. It's dynamic. So
I think there's been a lot of communication, a lot of effort to communicate what manufacturing as an industry is, and start to change that. But I mean, we're still short people.
yeah.
Yep.
And so to me, and when it truly happens to where we're expanding or growing, or we're looking for skilled people, and we're able to go through and select the best of the best,
Yep.
then I'd say no. So I think there's been an improved effort, but I still think we need to reach the parents and the kids
Yep.
at an earlier age to realize the cool stuff that we do, and that not every kid has to go become a lawyer or doctor or sorry, lawyers and doctors, don't sue me.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, like we've all said here, is what's actually in manufacturing, what does manufacturing mean, that's definitely changed in the factories. But outside of our walls, I think the stereotype is still there, that it's a dark and dingy, and it's a push the button mentality, and I just do the same thing every day, and kind of a brainless activity. And it's not that, and that's a hard stereotype to change, because that's been the stereotype for decades. It's very much automated, it's very much technical. And what we're asking guys to do, and gals, and I mean, we have everything. You have every age group that can work in our factory. Just because you're 90 years old doesn't mean you can't work in our factory. I mean, do we have 90 years old? No, but I mean, we have. They could do it. They could do some of those jobs, because it's not
That's a
this
good
big
point.
physical labor job anymore.
That's a good point.
But the stereotype is that you've got to be in manufacturing. You've got to be this big, strong individual, and you don't have to be that anymore. I mean, that's not what we're asking for. So, yeah, I think it takes getting into schools, getting out there to the parents, getting out there, and really changing that stereotype that this isn't the way it is anymore. It's changed. I mean, it has changed within the factories. And I think, to your point, getting people into the factory to let them come see that, let teachers and professors and see that, and then they're like, wow, this is not what I expected. And we see this all the time when we bring students from the University of Nebraska down, or we bring students from the community colleges and bring them in. They're like, that is not what I expected pet food manufacturing. Like, I thought it was just going to be stuff everywhere and blood and guts and all this sort of stuff. And it's not that way. I mean, it's a very clean environment. So how do we get rid of that stereotype? A lot of it is it's by people actually physically seeing it, seeing what it looks like today. We can sit here and we can talk about it all day, and we can do presentation. They'll say, "Oh, you're just showing me the good stuff." But when they really get to walk through your factory and walk through the manufacturing and see it with their own eyes, then that's when they become believers. And we got to have those teachers and those. Your parents are a big part. The parents are the ones pushing these guys to four-year schools and go get your business degree or go be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever that is. They have a lot of say in those choices at middle school and the high school age, because those guys don't know who else. They go to their teachers and their parents. That's who they're going to, and that's the group we really got to bring in and get kind of sold on this. This is what manufacturing is today. It's not what it was 10 years ago. It's not what it was 5 years ago, and it definitely isn't what it was 30 years ago. Yeah. So let them see it, and they become really the sellers of this for us.
That's a good point, because and while I like the term manufacturing, been in it for a long time, I don't really you can't appreciate what we're doing by just calling it manufacturing, because if you're a logistics person, if you like things of order, need, we all have a materials requirement group that like that. I mean, there's so many different levels within that word manufacturing. You have to have a controller. So if you are good at the financial side of it, there's a controller, a financial person, there's room for that discipline. There's room for, like I said, we talked all about the technical stuff. But if you're a people person, we all have needs in human resources, and I think all of our groups have training opportunities. So we're looking for trainers. So whatever your passion is, I bet we can find a place for you.
All right, so what can community colleges and high schools do in the state of Nebraska to support advanced manufacturing and in you guys?
Oh, that's easy. Just advisory councils are very good. But what has to happen is so many times, so for an example, all of our facilities, we talked about robotics. That is one area in the community college, sorry Kirk, but that's one area in the community colleges that we struggle, is having a strong robotics program within the state of Nebraska. There are surrounding states that have strong programs. And I'm talking about 6-axis articulated type, welding, material handling. We need that kind of program. In addition, some stronger 3D type programs. Those are the ones, and they just need to. While advisory councils are good, they need to come out and say, okay, really, what do you guys really, what does Purina really need? What does Kawasaki really need? And sometimes I don't think those questions are getting asked well.
So I think they need to continue to stay current, which I think a lot of the good programs do.
Yeah.
And the good programs are full. So as administrators in the community college system, I think when a program has got a waiting list or they're 80% full, they should consider it full, and they should not change the rigor, but grow the program.
Exactly.
And invest. They have to, I think, educate. It's difficult to say, but I just said it a little bit ago that we as an industry have to adapt. So I've been in manufacturing for 25 years at Kawasaki. That plant has changed over and over and over those 25 years. We've had to adapt and change to the world economy to stay successful and be a profitable business partner in the community. Education and community colleges need to do the same thing. And I think they have to adapt and they have to change the models and increase that, shorten their lead time to getting people out with the skills that are necessary to go into business and industry. And I think that's hard.
Yeah, and we have a responsibility, though, as a manufacturer, to clearly communicate, I think, a lot of those needs. Because sometimes we sit back and just assume it's going to happen, and it really doesn't. So it's really a collaborative event. Because these guys are absolutely
being able to shorten that lead time.
Yeah.
Changes. I sit on some committees or meetings, and we're talking about 2019 or 20 before things are changed.
Wow.
And I'm telling you that I could go to work today and be told that something has to happen tomorrow, and it's going to happen.
It will. Yeah.
So some of the business model changes. I mean, you can't go one extreme to the other, but I think staying current in the controlling, growing the programs that are already full, and continue to grow those, and then in the high schools and middle schools, reopen the doors to your shops, and you don't have to have a room full of lathes and stuff. We're talking about 3D printers, our mill program, CNC mills. We're talking about robots, lasers, equipment like that that's the technical things. By the time those kids, if they're running a manual lathe, yeah, you got to run a manual lathe. But when I start, I guess best example is the laser innovation has changed how we manufacture.
Absolutely.
When I started at Kawasaki, we had huge, large areas full of punch presses with dies that you had to put a piece of pipe in and it would notch it, or they would punch a hole in it, and you would put it in, push a button, ka-chunk. And now we order the tube, it comes off a truck, it's going into a thing, it goes into a laser automatically loaded, they pull up a program, and a laser is cutting that. And then that goes onto a bender where it's CNC, they pull up a program, it's bent, and then it goes into a fabrication where it's welded by a robot and a welder. And that's in 25 years. Just think what the factory of the future will look like in 10 years.
That's why you got to have your brain. That's why you got to use your brain.
All right, we have 2 more questions and about 5 to 7 minutes left. So, our first one is, do you know if community colleges are pairing welding and trades with IT to create new certificates that cross-train students?
What?
Yeah,
I didn't quite get it. I didn't.
Do you know if any community colleges are pairing welding and trades with IT to create new certificates to cross-train students?
As far as certificates, I don't know, but welding and IT are because there's offline programming, if that's the direction of the question. There is more and more, interesting what Tim had described, in the old days of manufacturing, but there's more and more offline programming where even in welding, material handling, where the path and the actual, what the machine does is done offline. And that is there is a degree in that. If that is the question, I think.
So I think I guess we're starting to see, before the engineering PLC world that controlled the programmable logic controller controlled most of everything on our floors, and it still does.
Yeah.
But what I'm alluding to is now those programs are starting to communicate with the IT world, where those things are reporting and triggering automated networked things within the computer world that are now controlling. So not only are you running a programmable logic controller to control a VFD or a motor control or a piece of equipment, that is also talking to a computer network. Yep. And so those bridges are starting to cross, and that's something that we're starting to see in a lot of our factories.
Shop floor reporting. Absolutely.
As a way, again, to continue to lower that lead time and improve our quality, that's where we have to make our efforts. So yes, I think, are we starting to see it? Probably not. There are people having to get that training across, but I think a person that has that knowledge, so a person coming out of Milford with electromechanical that can run PLC and program, and if they have understanding of networking and coding and network communication technology, they're a valuable person.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a program out there. If there is, then we don't know about it. But it is. It's changing. I mean, that PLC, IT networking type thing. I mean, it's every single year as advancements come, there more and more of those two are blending together, where they used to be very kind of separate departments. You had the guys over here doing your PLC program, and you had your IT guys over here doing your networking, and it's they're coming together. And
so virtual warehousing
Yep.
is another one where they cross, where you have AS400 programming and automated guided carts delivering parts and robots handling materials. So to me, that
you may have to stop us because we can talk about this all day long.
All right. We'll go with our last question here. What initiatives have you taken to ensure the safety of employees?
Oh, that's a great question.
I knew this would be a long one. So.
Yeah. No, I think, like for us, we look at safety as number one. We start every day off safety, stretching, those are very basics, blocking and tackling. We look at all kinds of PPE, personal protection. And it goes beyond just the general safety, all the way across health, wellness, fitness. I think all of us would have programs both sponsored and which means paid by the company. So,
yeah, we're kind of same way. Safety is number one. I mean, I don't think any manufacturing can tell you it's not. I mean, we are the thing I'll say about safety is there are risks in manufacturing, and we will never eliminate every one of those risks. It's the risks that are there. But what we focus on is how do we identify those risks? What are the behaviors that eliminate those risks? Where it's a condition based and we can add guarding or we can do PPE or those sort of things. Absolutely, we're going to do those sort of things. But at the same time, we've got 14,000-pound forklifts that are driving around the factory. alongside people that are working on equipment, that sort of thing. And then we got maintenance employees that's got to get their hands in equipment. So it's really a lot of focus around the behavioral pieces. How do we train, how do we teach people to really identify those risks and mitigate those risks through the behaviors and the actions they do, because that's where you can really eliminate all risk. There's some coherent condition-based stuff, you can address that sort of stuff, but you still want to eliminate. So we put a lot of focus in that. The health and wellness, of course, with us being under the Nestle umbrella, Nestle is a health and wellness company. So we have a ton of initiatives around that to just really understand that a healthy lifestyle outside of work and at work also makes you a healthier individual for your personal health. And we care a lot about that, not just, hey, we don't care about you just for, hey, I want you to be healthy so you can make it to work today. It's because we personally care about you to be healthy, to be outside, to do the things that you love to do outside of work. And we preach that a lot with safety. It's all about behavior-based safety and saying, if you get hurt at work, it's the things outside of work that's going to drive you nuts if you can't do those sort of things. So we really drive that home and make safety very personal to the individuals.
So I think we do every effort to build safety into our process. So when we talk about automation and the things that we've done to be competitive, we build safety into those processes and projects as much as possible. And then I think we all agree our employees are our biggest asset. That's what makes us special. And so we do a lot of programs and things to do that. So the manufacturing facilities today are much safer than they were ever.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, perfect. Well, this concludes our simulcast from 10 to 11. Thank you guys for coming so very much and sharing all of your thoughts and wisdom with everybody. And we'll see everyone again at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for attending today, and I hope you had a wonderful time with your tours and lunch and everything went well. So this is the last 30 minutes of our simulcast event for today. And originally, Dr. Matt Bloomstead was going to be here to talk about advanced manufacturing in the schools, what we're currently doing, what NDE will do to continue to support advanced manufacturing in the schools. So in his place, I do have the wonderful Tony Glenn, who is the Skilled and Technical Sciences Career Field Specialist, and he is going to kind of wrap up our day and talk a little bit about advanced manufacturing in the schools.
Well, you bet. Thanks, Retha. I apologize for having to fill in for Dr. Bloomstead. I am not nearly as well versed in communication as he is, and he does a great job of leading. But I will try to explain a little bit about what we're doing in the area of manufacturing in our public schools today. I would like to make sure and thank everybody for being here as well. It's great, and I know how busy folks are. Whether you're in the schools or whether you're in industry, it's a busy time of year. But I appreciate you having the foresight to look ahead and see what can we do in our schools to help the manufacturing in our state, because it is such a viable opportunity for our state. We in our schools and in skilled and technical sciences, and which includes manufacturing, I like to categorize our curriculum in 4 areas of concentration, what I call the 4 pillars of skilled and technical sciences. First and foremost is safety. We want to make sure that our students are being educated in safety out in the lab areas. We want to make sure that students are going into the workplace after graduation, whether that be graduation from high school or graduation from a community college. We want to make sure that they're safe and work safely. We try to promote the use of getting the OSHA 10 card for students. There is a product out there called Career Safe, which is it's an online OSHA 10 safety course that students can take. It's peer-to-peer teaching. The instructor can monitor the students as they go through that program. And we have quite a few schools using that. It costs $25 per student, which is quite a bit cheaper than having that student get the OSHA 10 card once they get out. But also, I think a lot of schools are looking at it as, hey, this is a great way. God forbid we should have a student get injured in the shop, but this is a great way to prove that we are giving them OSHA-approved training in safety in the shop. So safety is one of our top concerns when we're looking in the manufacturing area. The second pillar, if you will, is the need for technical skills based on national standards. So we want to really emphasize the fact that it's not so much what does the teacher enjoy doing, or what's the backwards way of getting something done. We want to make sure that we have world-class technical skills based on national standards. And we're really emphasizing, of course, many of the areas in manufacturing, such as welding, machine tool, and there we're really looking at more and more industries saying we want schools with the CNC capabilities, computer numeric control of the machine tool operations, but we also know that the students need to learn those basics of machine tool before they get into that CNC. Robotics is another one. I was just at a manufacturing company last week that they were saying, boy, we need students that know about robotics and mechatronics to operate their equipment. So those are all technical skills that I'm hearing from industry leaders that are really needed in our state right now to keep us moving forward. The third area, and this is something that's not just for skilled and technical science teachers, but really for all teachers in the school, is to help students work on what I always call the employability skills, or up here at the department we also call them the college and career readiness skills. Sometimes they're referred to as soft skills, and I always joke with everybody that we're told here if we call them soft skills, well, we might get fired, because there's really nothing soft about those skills. Those are skills that need to be taught. We sometimes talk with some of the instructors as myself that have been out there a while. Some of those skills used to be taught at home, or they used to be taught when a student had a part-time job or whatever. Sometimes that doesn't get taught in today's world. So it's up to all teachers, regardless of their curricular area, to make sure that we emphasize those skills such as teamwork, showing up to work on time, working with others, communication skills, all the types of skills that are needed in today's workforce. So that's really one of our areas of emphasis. And the fourth pillar, or area of concentration that we talk about with our teachers, is the fact that we need to have teaching done with contextual academics. Teaching the academic skills, the math skills, the reading skills, teaching those skills in the context where those students are going to use them and understand them. Being a former auto mechanics teacher, I look back and think about all the math that I used to teach, and the students didn't really realize they were being taught math, or they didn't make the connection of what they were learning in math class compared to my auto mechanics class. But really it is so important if those students are going to advance, they need to have those academic skills, and so there's no better way to teach those than contextually, how the student will understand them and use those skills. We have here at the department spent quite a bit of time designing programs of study. We want to make sure that schools are looking at their programs in totality, and we want to make sure that there is as seamless as possible connection between secondary and post-secondary. And we have designed for the past, I'm going to say 10 years anyway, have been working towards getting that seamless transition to post-secondary for our students, and have that path clearly designed through programs of study at the high school level And then, of course, where there's opportunities, we can have the dual credit opportunities, so students can move right into that community college and have some success and know where they're going there. Of course, that's always an ongoing process, always reviewing where we are. We always want to make sure that the students get the best opportunity available to them to succeed in the area of manufacturing. And of course, a lot of that also comes into making sure students have the passion for it. If students really have that passion, they are going to continue. And if we do not provide those opportunities at an early age, not just high school, but below high school, middle school, even elementary school, and helping those students to understand, hey, this might be a passion for me, the more we can do that, the more successful those students are going to be, and the better employees they're going to be when they get out into industry, which of course is the driving goal for us. We have been working here lately on work-based learning. This is something that with the co-op and DO programs of years past, it kind of got set on the back burners for a number of years. We're looking at what are the legalities of work-based learning where students can get out into the workplace and do some work. So that's kind of an ongoing process right now. However, we are also looking at it from not just the work and getting out in the job itself, but also making sure that students have other opportunities such as the career awareness piece, so they can learn what careers, what they might look like, the career exploration, so taking them on field trips, taking them out into industry and seeing what actually is done. And a lot of this also goes back to educating parents as far as what's out there, what their students could be doing, the great opportunities that are out there for their students. Of course, just like everybody, we kind of fight that old idea of what manufacturing used to be 30 and 40 and 50 years ago, and of course, until you get out there and see it, you find out it's nothing like that today. I often joke, sometimes I'll go in, I was just in a manufacturing company last week, and I've been in several others, and I often joke, if you took a picture of the floor of one of these manufacturing companies and you took a picture of an operating room floor in a hospital and set them side by side, it'd be hard to pick out which is which. Very clean environments, and the students have some opportunities there to get into some of these manufacturing areas. And of course, with the work-based learning process, we also talk about salaries that can be made, the job security, the future that they can have in manufacturing. Many times, I'll encourage our teachers to go to the H3 website, which H3 stands for high skill, high wage, high demand jobs that are in Nebraska. That H3 website is updated every week, and it's amazing how many manufacturing jobs show up on that H3 website week in and week out. So there's a lot of opportunities that are out there for students. So that is kind of the focus that we have in Nebraska. The focus that I kind of try to push with our teachers. We have some great teachers in our state. I look at our success in Skills USA. We're a relatively small state compared to many states in Skills USA. And then I look at the numbers of medals that our students bring home. As a matter of fact, this last June at our national conference, 1/3 of our delegation placed in the top 10 in their competitions at nationals, and so that really goes back to the quality of instruction that we have with our teachers in the state, and the support that they're getting from their administration, and that's a big piece of it. I was on a phone call today with an administrator, as a matter of fact, that he was concerned about class sizes getting too big. He said, I don't want to have problems in that area. He said, what's the typical class size, which we do not have any guidelines in Nebraska on class sizes, but I'm seeing more and more administrators really concerned, and I think rightfully so, that they have some high quality STS or skilled and technical science programs. I think there are more and more communities asking for that, and I see schools responding to those needs. So we're really looking at moving forward and moving up and increasing STS in Nebraska.
Thank you, Tony, very much. So in conclusion for our afternoon today, I just wanted to thank a couple people. I definitely want to thank the Nebraska Department of Education, Nebraska Career Education, and the Department of Economic Development for helping put this together today, and also all of my coordinating partners at the community colleges in which you are attending. You guys are awesome. And if you do have any additional questions, you can always email me. My email was up on the screen a couple different times. And this simulcast will be available on the Partnerships for Innovation website. And I encourage you to go and check that out because we do have some new opportunities available. We have some external funding applications that are now available for any special projects you may want to apply for. And we do have some teacher-focused training scholarships available as well through Partnerships for Innovation. So please go and check those out. And as you have questions going forward, feel free to email myself and we can get anything you need taken care of. But again, I'd like to thank you for being here today and have a great afternoon. Thanks.